Let's create a new project with FieldDay. So at the bottom right, you can create a new project. You can give it a name. We're going to name this one baby food because we're going to be deciphering between the different flavors of the same brand's baby food. So once you rename it, you can jump into the project. You get the viewfinder open, and you can add new categories. Categories are the different products, objects, environments, scenes that you want the machine learning model to learn and decipher between. So here we've added a banana category, we'll add a mango category, and finally a blueberry category. So these are the different flavors of the baby food we're going to teach our model to detect between. You can also choose the color of each category. This really helps when you have a lot of categories and you want to easily understand the differences between them or identify them. And then we just need to start collecting data. So collecting data is by far the most important part of any machine learning project. And we make it really easy with FieldDay. So all you need to do is choose the category you want and press and hold on the button there. So now we're collecting blueberry. We collected about 50 samples of that. We'll also collect mango. And you can swipe it over to the right and it locks the collection in place, so it's a little bit easier to collect image samples of mango. The more variation, you can zoom up, zoom out, kind of wiggle it around, scrunch it. All of the different variation really helps in creating a robust data set that can create a really accurate model. The more diverse the data set and the more samples you have, the more likely that your model will be able to decipher between the two and be more stable. So here we're collecting banana. So now we have all three classes, and we're also going to collect a category called background. Background is basically anything you want your model to ignore. So for example, here we have a Diet Coke can. Sometimes we'll just scan the floor, scan the ceiling, scan your hand, anything that we want when the model sees it. It knows not to make a prediction on because it is not something of interest. And so now the model is being created. And while that's happening, we can look at the data drawer. So if you swipe up from the bottom of the app, you can see all of the data that you've collected that's going into this project. So here we have the 4 categories we've collected, all the data points, and you can see that there are about 50 samples per class. This is a good starter sample size, but typically we can get into the hundreds, if not thousands, of data points to make a really stable model. It looks like the model is almost done training. This usually can take between 2 and 5 minutes, depending on the size of your data set. So now when the model is done, in this pill at the top of the screen, you can see predictions coming in real time. So now the model is running in real time locally on the device. And you can see all the different classifications and the way that the model thinks. So we have an analysis view, which is really nice to also debug the model. So here you can see that it's getting a little tripped up on the mango flavor. It's kind of bouncing between banana and mango. And if we throw in the blueberry one, it's also kind of getting tripped up. And so basically what that means is we need to collect more samples of those classes or of those products in order for the model to have a more stable prediction. So it's really simple to do that. We swipe over to blueberry, and we can just press and hold to collect a couple more blueberry images. And you'll see at the top when the prediction comes in and it has a difference between the class that's being collected, it will show a slash through, which is kind of a nice way to understand that you're reteaching the model. Anytime data is added to the project, you can update the model. So you can trigger a retrain, which will train a new version of that model with the new data set, whether that's just deleting samples or adding new samples. In the meantime, we can go look at a previous project I was working on. This one has about 20 different baby food samples. So you can see it's much more robust. And the sample sizes range between 600 to over 1,000 images per category. Which really helps make a more stable model. And so here we'll take a small baby yogurt, and you can see that it classifies it much more steadily, and the same with a couple other different ones as well. I baked in a nice Easter egg here where if you flip over the baby food and it sees the back, it'll identify it's the back of the baby food and ask you to flip it back over. So you can make a classification. And so finally we'll go back to our original project. we'll see the model is just about done. And then we'll be able to test the second model that we just trained with the new data we collected to see how robust it is. And so this feedback loop is super important in making a really robust model. The more data you collect, the better your models will be. Finally, if you want to make your model or bake your model into other platforms or applications, you can hit the export tile. Here, for example, we'll export it to a snap lens. And so Nelson will help you get your FieldDay model embedded into a Lens Studio.
Let's open Snapchat and our inbox. So in our inbox, we have a link to download the files. There's also a link to an instruction page that will come in handy later on. Once we have the zip file downloaded, we can unzip that. There is an O and an X file and a script with your labels in there. You drag and drop that in the resource panel of Lens Studio project. There is a pop-up that asks you to set your model parameters. They're always the same for every model built with FieldDay. So we put them on our website in the documentation section. So it's easy to copy and paste. And this is really the biggest hurdle. Once that is done, it's all pretty much drag and drop. So we'll enter that. We will set up the camera similarly as we had in FieldDay. And so you can see the environment is very similar than in our own app. And now we can open the ML component in the object tile and drag and drop our model right there. And you open the label component, and here you drag your own label script right here. And now it's all set. We just have to adjust the top K to the amount of categories you have in your own project. So in this case, 4 with 3 products and background. And you have all your predictions show up just like in FieldDay. Here, any creator can take that prediction and use that as a trigger for any filter they want. Excited to see what they built with it.